What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Jaiden.
Just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you could have me at your next event. You know, wedding season's coming up. Man, I've been booking a lot of weddings and corporate events for that matter. Man, I'm having a good time. It's so good that people still let me play for the people. I appreciate it. And karaoke jams. I get to do those for all the time, really. Today on the program, so excited. Speaking of entertainers, speaking of entertainment, today on the program is Chris Jaiden. I found him on Twitter, and he's also on Instagram and you know, pretty much everywhere that you could find a person these days socially. But you get to listen to a bit of his story in your ears in the next few minutes. So stay tuned for Chris Jaiden. This week's shows, let's see, Friday night, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. My usual Friday night gig. I know, if you've listened to this podcast, you know where I'm going to be on Friday nights. It's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, up on the hill, Hippie Hill. Yeah, right behind the old 70s store. Check it out. They got a full bar. The kitchen is open. They got the pool tables, pool tournament every Friday night at the Rab. They got the party patio that has Jenga, shuffleboard, foosball, darts, a giant checkers game. There's always something to do while you're waiting to sing on stage with little old me. Video dance party, karaoke jam. That starts at 8 p.m. on Friday night, and we go to the wee hours of the morning on Saturday in the a.m. You know, just a little past 1:30, so that way, you know, you can get your last drinks and get up out of there. So, yeah. Friday night. Join me at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. All right, party people, let's talk to Chris Jaiden. I'm kind of excited. All right, you ready? You ready? All right, let's call Chris Jaiden now.
Hello.
Chris Jaiden, please.
Hi, how are you, Dan?
Oh, it's super duper. Chris Jaiden, legendary man with a guitar. It's Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast. What is up?
Oh, man, you know, just doing the music thing. You know, I played a little mini set last night and, you know, just onward and upward on it, you know?
Yeah, buddy. So tell the people a little bit about who you are. Who is a Chris Jaiden, and what is a Chris Jaiden music?
Basically, you know, I'm basically Chris Jaiden. I'm a solo artist, do acoustic rock when I do solo. But I was, you know, first frontman of heavier rock bands without a guitar or any instruments, and I just decided to start teaching myself everything over the years. Just, you know, frustrations with band members not being on the same page with me, you know, just not being able to move at the speed that I want to, and, you know, different personas, and you know, that kind of thing can be a mess sometimes. And so I just, you know, it kind of forced me into a corner. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start doing my own stuff. I mean, I already wrote all the lyrics and all the vocals for all the bands already, but I decided to do all the music and everything too. And, you know, here I am now, you know, 2020, and doing pretty well as a solo artist now. I just signed on with Breedlove as a sponsored artist with Breedlove Guitars. That just happened a couple of weeks ago at NAMM. I was a Grammy contender for Best Rock Performance for my single No Worries for my recent album I released last year on August 23rd called Welcome to California. That was a big, nice surprise, being an indie artist. And you know, built up my own record company. Every little aspect I've been doing on my own. And to be an indie and to be, even accepted into the voting was already incredible. But, you have about 2 or 3 months, I guess, where you can get kicked off the voting right away. And, my PR would get the word about it. And they kept me on. They kept me on all the way to the last week, where I didn't get the nomination this time, but I was so grateful to get up in there, and I got asked by the Grammy people to submit some more music before June 1st. So last year was a very productive and unexpected year. It definitely came out of nowhere for me. So that's that.
Yeah, Chris Jaiden. I mean, that sums it up. You've put a few things out there in the air, working with the band, being the front man. Have you always been a front man in a band whenever you tried to start out in music? I'm guessing, and you're a Philly boy, right? Young man from Philly, makes it big in California. Yep. So, when you're in a band, and I've talked to a lot of bands, it's tough to get the band together for practice. Hey, we got to practice before that big show. And it's like trying to get your brothers and sisters, and your mom and dad and your cousin Billy to come to the family reunion, because we got to get to the show. We got to practice, and doing it by yourself might be the way to go. I mean, if you could put a band together that sticks together for a long time, that says a lot. But it's a lot. You find that it's a lot easier since you already have all the creative juices. You can play guitar. Do you play any other instruments?
I play bass, drums, keys, pretty much kind of, whatever can be thrown in front of me. I can, like color sounds, as I said. I wouldn't call myself a piano player or a drummer or a bassist, but I can do it all. I do it on my recordings, on select recordings, and I just kind of grown to love and understand, get the basics of the song down. And basically kind of like a coloring book. I'm now coloring the sound with the rest of the things that surround the basic chords and the basic vocals, and just kind of build it around that. Just to add some melodies here, some melodies over there. That kind of formula. And I actually prefer being just a front man of a rock band. I just, at the moment, I've built a few bands already. It was usually me and another songwriter with my band Reflective, and we had 2 lineups, one in the San Jose area, one here in LA.
Right. And
that, that was a cool way to do it. I found that was a great way too. We hired people around it, but we just couldn't get everybody to get at the certain point. We got them all to learn all the songs. And I'm like, look, guys, just so you know, I'm not the kind of person that wants this kind of session attitude like LA has. I want people to, come in and actually start making music and doing it because they want to make the music and see what forms. Not like, okay, I charge this, I got to charge, you could be paid this to show up here, this, that. And then, when it got to the rawness of the jamming, they were amazing, but they just were not in the same mindset as me. I grew up doing my first rock bands, Vertigo, and Surface was the main one. Yeah. And with Surface, I was able to, we sat in a room, we looked at each other, and the beer store we practiced in, and we just said, okay, go. One guitar player, drummers would start, boom, and then we would just format songs. We weren't considered really a jam band, but we could jam. And we were like more heavy blues rock, like hard rock, heavy blues rock. And we build the song as we're practicing, run a tape, and then see the structures kind of form. And then on stage, we would go on stage and people would think there would be songs, and they weren't songs. We would just kind of create them on the fly on stage, but we do it in structure, not like Fish or Grateful Dead. And that has been the hardest thing for me that I haven't been able to achieve and find yet as a group that can do that, because I really prefer to just be singing and kind of dealing with, that side of things. It gives me a lot more freedom on stage, not having anything in my hand. But I love playing.
Yeah, Chris Jaiden. I mean, for those of you that haven't listened to Chris Jaiden, I encourage you, stalk him, find him. I in preparation for this, I've been listening. I've been excited to talk to you because I've been listening and I've been watching the videos on your YouTube. You have your own YouTube channel. I am the 101st subscriber. Yes.
Oh,
I hope that number gets bigger and bigger. but I've noticed that, man, you are a man and his guitar, and it's just it's real jazzy. It's real, it's stuff that you'd listen to just chilling on the beach, at a bonfire, underneath a nice palm tree if you have one available. If not, wherever you are, man. It's front porch sitting music. It's music that you can just chill to for the most part. And man, I've been grooving on it all day long for sure. I've been overloaded on Chris Jaiden for sure. But I need to know.
That's so cool to hear that you enjoy that.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you. I'm so happy to hear that.
Well, I'm from the Florida Keys, so underneath a palm tree, that would be it. I'm in Arkansas, but I still keep that Keys flavor in my heart, which is why Keys Dan will stick with me.
I get it now.
Yeah,
Okay, I was wondering where the Keys came because I used to spend a lot of time in Cocoa Beach, man. I love Florida. My dad was in the space program, so he was one of the head satellite engineers. It was GE, it was this, it was that, Lockheed Martin. It changed a million names. And I got to sit on the beach and watch the Challenger. Part was I watched it on Cocoa Beach, go into the ocean with my aunt on the beach. It was one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
Oh, my goodness.
Seen. And the wave that came up off the beach afterwards, like it took a while, but it came up. I'll never forget it crashing over as we were laying there. It hit that many miles, but you could still see it was that far out there, but we'd see it. So it was, I've seen a lot of Florida, man. I've seen a lot of Florida.
What a time. My goodness, on Cocoa Beach watching the Challenger. This is 1986, man. I didn't watch it from there. I could see it from, I think from Fort Lauderdale, which is where I went to school, and I graduated in 1986. And I remember that day. I remember it well. I think it was before I graduated. It had to be early in the year, maybe March. This is fuzzy history. I'm sure you'll look it up. I'm sure I was in a classroom when I got the news, and you were there, man. Shoot, wow.
I mean, we literally just launched the shuttle, and I mean, I got the opportunity to actually sit on the bleachers. I mean, it took I think I've been there over 2 weeks, one time 4 weeks. This one was about, if I remember correctly, about 2 weeks long.
Yeah.
And when they put the families and the people that have you directly connected with the shuttle, they put us on bleachers like about 100 yards out from the actual shuttle. So that's how close I was. And if the pressure in the air wasn't exactly right, man, they would shut it down. It had to be the perfect amount of rain clouds to create a certain pressure, or it would not go up. So we'd sit there, we'd go out there in the morning, we get sent home again. We get back to sent home, and my dad would be doing the countdown things, and they just, it would take forever. And then eventually it finally went up. Because Florida has the best atmosphere. There's a reason why everything's launched in that particular area, because of the atmospheric pressure. So it was interesting. And then, God, it was so sad. The teacher and everything was... I remember that well. I mean, Chris Jaiden. I remember the story. The idea that you're sitting on a million parts bid on by the lowest bidder. It's been reiterated in movie after movie, and I think the last one was Armageddon, when they were talking. I think Steve Buscemi delivered that line perfectly. That he was, we're strapped to a rocket that was bid on, that was built by the lowest bidder. So yeah, that was a tough time. All right. Well, moving on from there, let's since you were talking a little bit about your childhood and your early life, let's go back to Philly. Was that where you were born? Oh, yes, it was. I was born right down in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, born and raised. Mm-hmm. I know you've heard that your whole life.
Frankfurt Hospital. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about life in Philly, man. I've heard about the town. I haven't spent a lot of time north of the Mason-Dixon. Tell me what it's like in Philadelphia, one of the oldest towns, really. I mean, in American history. Tell me about it.
I mean, you go downtown, and in the Constitution buildings, everything all still there, in the Brick City part of Philadelphia, Center City. It's just beautiful. South Philly is my particular favorite. Used to play a lot of the clubs on South Street. It's just such a good time. God, it was a Pontiac Grill, there's a JC Dobbs, there's a TLA. There's all kinds of great venues around the area, especially the small venues for live music, because it's a really, really, really hot place for good live music. There's a lot of soul, a lot of good rock and roll, and it's definitely a place where they support each other's bands, and everybody's very honest. We're a little forward. We'll kind of give it to you. Probably either you'd like it or you might not. But we're going to tell you, what has to be said. So that's definitely the best way to sum up people that I know from my city. And I thought when I moved it would be different, but even the people that would come from there were the same way. I didn't feel as alienated. We're quicker talking. We have a different speed than California. Just had seen a person I apparently went to high school with around the corner from me from the high school around, and I never met him, same age. I was at this sugar mill thing doing an acoustic thing last night, and we were just laughing because we're talking back and forth, and we can kind of slice each other off for a second and then jump on that one thing you said and then continue, and nobody takes it personally. It's more mellow, and I'm like, you guys don't flow the same. So it's a different it's a different edge. It's not like New York City. New York City is like you speed that up 5 times.
Right. And I imagine,
but it's very close to New York. It's just like a more mellow New York, but we can be. It's kind of a vicious place too at the same time. But it's so beautiful, so much art.
Well, I imagine, Chris Jaiden, that it's a city of freedom. With the Constitution being right there, all that history being right there. You think about the forefathers, and I don't know. I've never been there, but how was it as a young man? What did you do? How was your family life growing up in Philadelphia? Mom, dad, any sisters and brothers, and in school, did you have an affinity for music, and what kind of activities were you into early in life?
Yeah, family, my mother, my father, I have identical twin sisters that are about 11 years younger than me. And they actually, one of them lives in Florida, the other one lives in Philadelphia. She's still there. I have my amazing aunts, and my aunt's basically like my mother. So she's always been the closest person that I speak to. Everybody's doing good. And I'll tell you what, in my earlier life, music was definitely just a huge thing as a kid. I mean, my parents would drive me around the block on our street, because I was just super hyper. That's just always the way I've been. And, always upbeat. Even as a little baby, they just have to play heavy rock music, ZZ Top, something like that to keep me kicking until they would take me around the block and blast that kind of stuff, and eventually I would pass out. So that was like between a 0 and 2, and they told me over and over that was what they had to do. Probably every 2 or 3 nights it would just have to be. And I kind of got birthed with that, and just with music. My parents loved music and always had me listen to all kinds of different music. I mean, Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes was dropped on my stomach because it was the same year I was born, 78, and that was, they're like, music, this is your life. And my mom had told me the story later. My dad did that. She's like, why'd you do that? She's a baby. And it was just always something really important to me. It was classic rock and rock in general, and they just really supported me. What I did with my music, and it's just always been something that is just in my head, and it's almost like I just can't turn it off. And everything around me, when people say something, I bounce their words off of the line of the song. It's just always been how I am, and it's not something that I could really change.
Yeah.
It's always been, it just fuels me, and it's just been my love my whole life.
All right. Well, you say classic rock, ZZ Top. You're about 10 years younger than me, so I'm guessing you're a child of the '90s. You grew up in that grunge, and maybe some boy bands were out there. But
not that though. I love the grunge music, and that whole scene is basically what really, really kicked me off to want to be a singer. I just never forget hearing Pearl Jam in like 7th grade and just being blown away. Some buddy of mine, Dan Stites from my school, and he puts a headphones on my head. He's like, dude, check this out. And he just threw it on my head. It was snowing outside. I'll never forget the day, the exact picture. And I just heard Even Flow. And I just was blown up. What is this? It's authentic. There's not that hair metal crap that I just did not like. I was just not into that. Anything 80s except for like, Guns N' Roses was like my favorite thing on the earth. That was kind of near the end of it.
Right.
And there was still a rawness about it. I liked how, they were more raw and just in your face after you. It was like they were coming out of that. There was more truth in it than the other kind of hair metal bands. There was just it wasn't more of the show. It was kind of like the way they were living. And I really liked that.
Yeah, even though Guns N' Roses, and even Metallica, they started at the end of the 80s. I think they really fired up in the 90s was where they really made their niche, And
same with Soundgarden.
Yeah, and Soundgarden too. You growing up in that time, is that where you got your first inspiration? That's where you got your first tastes. And all right, so when did you decide?
I got to throw in. There was a big time.
What was it?
I love a lot of different types of music.
Oh yeah,
definitely was into. Remember '88? Got my first. And it was like NWA Straight Outta Compton and Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction. And it was like I was that on the left and the right. Like I loved both of them, and I didn't know how to balance that.
Oh yeah, you just got to mix them up. And
we're really cool. All of a sudden it started kicking in. I love the rawness of hip hop.
Oh yeah,
I like truth. I like truth, and there was truth in what they were living, how they were living. And I was like, that's what I would hear. And then when I heard the '90s, movement, everybody started speaking the truth, how they were living, what was going on. It was kind of like blues music, what you're skin, who you're screwing, this, that, and then hip hop kind of took that back on, and then they kind of rolled with that too, in their way, in the street, how they live in the street, and it brought honesty, and then the grunge movement kind of followed that, and then it's like you could really, my heart moved more with an honest sound, even if it was, even if it was pushing certain boundaries. It was like, I love it.
No, I could see where you're going because hip hop is lyrics and you're a lyricist. You're a songwriter. Yep. So, and they're telling a story the way they know how to tell a story. And you're taking that inspiration and you're telling your own story. Are most of the songs biographical or they come from other places that you write, Chris Jaiden?
The biographical aspect, Welcome to California, was it was not even like a purposeful thing. Like I started doing solo things, and as I left Philadelphia, I took big chances coming out here with pretty much nothing. And it was crazy. I had nothing, and I just did it. I just kind of woke up and I said, you know what, I'm going to go handle this, and I just kind of went with it, and ended up here in California, and the different stories that happened along the way kind of formed into an album. And it was like it became kind of a geographical thing because each certain city would inspire me so much, like especially like Santa Cruz, California. It was like my heart. And there's a song there called Ocean Feels Like Home, and it just fueled just a feeling. There's a spirituality and a certain energy frequency that was in the air. And I'll never forget just experiencing that. And there's a couple of people that also are on that same understanding of that. And they also, picked up what I picked up on it. And there's just something special and magnetic there. And, there was just different cities like Reno and just all these crazy stories that happened to me. And also just really happy things, and coming from my darker side of my older life and my heavier rock stuff, as I picked up the acoustics for birth songs anyway, I just kind of really, just the feeling that I got was just get. That's the best. I was coming into a lighter side of my life, and there was something to be celebrated. I was kind of sick of the negative, aspects of things. Even though when I wrote that stuff, it was almost like I write it as a teaching lesson to not only myself, but maybe so other people can get helped
Yeah, well, let's go through it a little bit, Chris
well,
Jaiden.
you know?
I'm guessing you graduated around 94, 95. At that point, were you
96.
96? At that point,
Mhm.
were you already playing music, or had you formed a band, or had you been playing on your own at the time?
I was already in a band called Vertigo that nobody's even talked about with me yet. Don't have that up online as much. I'm thinking about putting a little profile up because I have our old little album that I just found recently. And I was like 16, 15, actually 15 when I started that.
Wow.
And then by the time I was done high school, I was still say about 16. So we were about I guess maybe 14 and a half, 15, and we had about 2 years of that. Did our big talent show, this and that, and then I continued. I went into college and started jamming with a lot of bands at Penn State, just pretty kind of free forming. And then I came back to Philadelphia after college and did a couple of years there. And I came back and I just decided to look for a band. And it was an accident. I fell into a band called Surface with one of my best friend's brothers needed a singer. And I was a young boy. I was like 17 and a half, 18 at that time. And he said, they were all like, at least he was 7 years older, the guitarist, and everybody else was 4 years older, the drummer and the bassist. And I came in young and insane, and we just meshed. And, it just kind of went on from there. But yeah, so I had been early with bands, kind of just figuring that energy out. It was just kind of in my heart and soul for, since I was a child, so I just kind of kept going. But that band Vertigo really kind of birthed everything for me. It was, influenced by like a Pearl Jam, Dave Matthews, and like, there's almost a Cornhusker kind of sound sometimes. Because there's acoustics in there and stuff too. And it was really a fun time. And, it kind of led me onto the bigger things in my other bands and stuff like that. So,
Chris Jaiden, when you were with Vertigo, were you a gigging band? Did you actually get out of the garage and go play places in front of people?
We did. We would go play like different house shows and stuff in like Soulbury, New Hope. There's like a really nice area called New Hope. It's a very big witch town. Wiccan, we should really say that's really how it's properly done. And we jam in the backyards of the houses there for different parties, and we would do the Firehouse in Yardley, Pennsylvania. We would kind of rent that out and just throw shows there because we weren't bar age yet. So we made it happen, dude, and we had a blast with it. It was such a cool thing, just having a lot of memories that are really good right now.
Yeah, how did the kids respond on that one, Chris Jaiden? How did it make you feel? Did they like it?
Yeah, they really dug it. And, I was singing, I learned that I did drums first, and then I went to sax, and then I realized, I was like, I want to sing. I always sing. I didn't realize I could do that, and all of a sudden I started singing, but then I ended up having to do choir, and I was like, oh, come on, choir. I'm just being honest with that's how I felt at first. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I don't want to be in choir. And then I kind of did some research. I was really young, but I looked in it. I'm like, wait, and all these guys, as I got into like 6th, 7th grade, I saw, I guess, some interviews and, like Cornell and like Vedder were in choir when they're young. I was like, oh, that's great. So it kind of gave me like, got rid of that, like, oh, choir's not cool thing.
Right.
And I just decided to jump in head first, man. I started competing and, really influenced me because I wanted to be a rock singer. And it actually ended up being the best thing I did. I never really took lessons or anything. I was real natural with it, and I could just kind of read music. I could hear it once and just whoop. And the teachers picked up on that, and I just kind of ended up doing lead things, doing chamber choirs and stuff. And I just got really, really great with understanding the formations of harmonies.
Yeah,
and that's like my favorite thing.
That is fantastic, Chris Jaiden. That you found an affinity for singing, and you didn't even know that you could sing before 7th grade. You just fell into it. You wanted to play an instrument, maybe, and you just kind of fell into it.
It was like 4th, 5th grade. I was doing, some jazz band stuff with drums, and then the sax about the same time. And I was like, it's kind of whatever, boring. I wish it wasn't. I wasn't feeling like I thought I would. And at that same time, I was already singing, doing all my things in the room. I was dancing like Mickey Mouse record players as a kid, all the way up.
Oh yeah.
Always into it. But I just kind of thought that was just a fun thing to do. And the teacher heard me sing.
Well,
and they said, dude, jump in the choir. I'm like, I don't want to, I didn't want to do that. And then they talked me into it, looked at the thing, and I really it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I just kind of kept winning these competitions and going up through my high school time. I got really, really good at just, crashing harmonies, like sevenths, fifths, this, that. And I really that's when Alice in Chains just hit my heart. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, and I heard the harmonies, and I was like, I didn't have people to really sing it with. And then, in the solo sections of my career now, I started doing all the harmonies on the songs. I did harmonies in my other band parts and stuff too, but I was able to kind of really sit and format some things. And it just, really shaped a lot of the sounds for my recordings, I guess. And, I love having 2, 3, sometimes even 4-part harmonies and different things, but I never do it by the book. I literally just never did the music. I can read music to a T, but I refuse to do it. My teachers would get mad at me because I would put the thing down. I would format with my ears, and that's it. And I did that all the time with harmonies. And I somebody puts me in a booth, I would do that, and I'd be like, "Oh, do a harmony," and they're like, "Oh, do you need I'm like, "Put your paper away. Let me jump in there." And they're like, "What? Come on, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I just go in there, I nail crash harmony, and I like to make, that's how I use my terminology, to crashing harmonies. They kind of are minor or diminished, and that's just, kind of created a lot of the vocal sounds for the new stuff I do now.
So by the time you're finishing grade school, you're already recording. You're getting into booths. Whose booths are you getting into, or is this stuff that you've set up in your room? I know people were getting into computers by that time. Were you getting into actual studios?
The booths and stuff weren't until later. Like as I got in like 14, 15 years old with my band Vertigo and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness! You're such an old man at 15 years old, getting into a booth. My goodness, no! This is fantastic. You have some of those recordings, and what did your parents think? It seems like they were very supportive of your music endeavors. Is that right?
Yeah, they definitely were supportive of it, and they always supported me playing, and just whatever I was really feeling sports. I was a big sports head in school, so I didn't just do that stuff. I was just always super busy. I was an honor student. I skipped 4th grade, so I ended up graduating at 16. And I just always I played baseball, I played soccer, I played football. Not as much football as baseball and soccer, but I was on the tennis team. I was in snowboarding. I just was always into that stuff too, and I wasn't sure I was even going to do music. I kind of thought I was going to be a lawyer at first or do sports when I was younger. I thought that, and that didn't work out. It's always what we dream of at first. And then, I just got led into the music. I had a choice with, law or music. I'm like, I'm going for the music.
Wow, you're a rarity.
You're nuts for doing that.
You're a rarity, Chris Jaiden. You're a jock and a band geek. How about that?
There's a lot. Our school was funny. They had it was really funny, my man. They had you're making all these memories stuff. The other guys that were like the major dudes and like the football teams and stuff also were started joining the choir, and I was like, wow, I'm like, these guys do this too. And it was like a good inspiration, knowing because a lot of the other schools it was not like that. And I saw the other schools because we have to go compete, and it was like for some reason our school always had the dudes from sports. It was really interesting. So it was cool to cross into both of them. It wasn't like, oh, you sing, you can't be, how kids are. But it wasn't like that in my school. It was pretty cool.
The guys had to know all the girls were in choir.
That was the thing, though. That's the truth, though. The girls were good in the choir.
I fully believe that everything a man does is to impress a girl. So if he can impress them in choir or on the football field, they'll do it.
That's the true fuel, man. We could all just, BS around that fact, but, come on. It's like, we'll go out there to pull chicks first, and then we think that, it's funny. That's just the dumb male mind.
All right. Well,
the thing we want.
Yeah. So, all right. We're still in the early life a little bit. Let's go. You have identical twin sisters, and they don't live near each other. That's very telling. Usually twins stick together for their whole life. But
They did for a while, and they're still, best friends. But they have, they look the same. They're actually not. They were born they were born in separate sacks. In very rare cases, 14 cases a year, but they were still identical. So they were very different already. Looked the same, and their personalities shockingly different. But they weren't, literally, technically identical, even though they weren't. It was one of those weird things that happens, like I said, 13 times a year. So they have their little closeness and they have their separation too. So they, Lindsay stayed up in Philadelphia, and Lauren moved down to Florida with her mother, and they both have a baby each. So I have two nieces as well, and they had them like about 6 months apart. And, it was just funny. Their life is never really planned, but they always seem to have the same clock on everything.
That could be a statistic for twins everywhere. So, all right, Curse Jaiden, all right. You grew up in Philadelphia. All right. It sounds like you had some kind of a budding career in the Pennsylvania area, all around Philly and the surrounding areas. So you were doing like mostly rock, and I've heard your songs. Some of them you use that nice gravelly voice where you're really rocking it out, and then some of them are so smooth. It's like you're two, maybe three different singers that you can. It's amazing that to me, and I can't sing very well at all. Even though I run a lot of karaoke shows, people say, "Hey, do you sing?" No, it'll just take time from you. I'm so impressed that you can switch your voice from gravelly, rock it out, to smooth, jazzy type, scatty type music. When did you develop this, and does it hurt going back and forth?
That's a great question, man. Because one thing that I was always known for is, as soon as a song would come on the radio, if it was really, really good, like I was mentioning, I would just pick up on sounds quickly. Something with my head, I'd hear a song, and it would be the first time I'd hear something. I would literally just start singing the lyrics along right to a T, and I just learned how to catch the flow with the singer. If it was that good, I would just jump on the melody, and I could understand the flow of the phonetics. And because of that, I was always, as a kid, singing every record from like Tom, all the time my parents I couldn't shut me up, Chris, there he goes again. And I would always be singing other people's songs as I did. And I just started to really naturally learn how to form my voice even before I was really young. Right. I would sit there and try to format my voice in a certain way, open my throat a certain way to make it sound like these other singers so I could match them. I mean, it was crazy. I would always find a way to really get really close to them. So doing that, it allowed me to really move into different genres of music later on.
No, it is quite impressive.
I do like the Flu, which is electronic rock. I've been doing that for quite a while, and that's my side electronic project, like electronic rock. And I just got really into the older style synths and analog stuff, and started making my own music. I do all the music on that stuff and produce it all, and all the different synths and everything. And it taught me to be able to change my voice, my point, in all the different types of music. So I can shift from, different styles. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Yeah, Chris Jaiden. So after Vertigo, long after Vertigo, you became the front man of Circus, and I guess they needed a young ringmaster. Was it Circus or Surface?
Surface, S-U-R-F-A-C.
Surface, okay. See, I'm trying to make a pun.
But we were definitely a circus. Well, we definitely had our fun.
Well, no, you had, people, you were playing with people that were much older than you, 10 years older, in fact.
Seven for one, and then 4 years older than the other ones.
Right.
I was 18 at the time, and they were the one was 27 at that time or something like that almost.
How long did that go, and how far did that go? Did you do any records, any singles, any recording with them, or was it mostly playing covers around town?
No, we rarely even did it. We had a couple little covers that we would do, but we were just straight up original band. And we had a Surface 1, Surface 2, and then our Surface EP. Didn't know if we called it Surface 3 or not. I just kind of blanking on that. And we just put out those 3 records, and we just we had them. We were on like 93.3 MMR, WYSP,
Okay.
in Philadelphia.
And are
So
you
we
writing
were,
all the music for this?
Me and the whole band, with the band thing.
Yeah.
I always did all the lyrics. I always did all the melodies. And then we had the bass, guitar, and the drums. And those guys would do their parts.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like a Zeppelin. We kind of wanted everything to be even. And, Eric would do his guitar, his stuff. So in that case, yeah, I still did the same thing. I'm still writing all the lyrics, doing all the vocal melodies. But in this case, as a band, we were a team. So we always split everything. And that, it was just the way it was. We had a real cool union about that. So yeah, but nothing different. Just the fact that I didn't do the instruments, so
Right.
the writers were other guys as well.
No, it sounds like you had some kind of a gel together. And do any of those albums or singles still exist today?
Yes, when you go my Spotify profile is probably the easiest way to find all the different projects, because I did a lot. I did and do a lot of different things. So when you go to my Spotify profile, when you go to the About section,
Yes.
on the About section are all of the links. I found a way to hyperlink all my projects. So all the projects, you click on them, and they're all there. And I also have an artist playlist at the bottom of my Spotify. You'll see it on the Chris Jaiden playlist. It's the first one. And I literally have 71 or 72 songs, all my songs that are on here of all my different projects. So you can hear all the different aspects of what I do, from the new album all the way down to older stuff in a nice mix. And like I said, in the About section, you can click onto the Flu, the electronic rock project that I do, Reflective, my band that is here in California, where it's me and Jake Chaplin, the other co-writer. He does all the music, I'll do all the vocals and lyrics. And then we build the band around that. Then there's the Gray Area, which is a hip-hop project I did with the Bay Area MC called Sean Black. Amazing. And it's like a mix of Biggie and Tupac together. The guy is perfect mix of the two. And I did all the hooks and did some of the beats, and then did the guitars on some of the stuff. But mainly a hook man. But I have a verse on the second song, The Symphony. I actually let out one of my verses as a rhymer. So I'm on there on the second verse on there. And I do a lot of different hooks for different people as asked. I just, I can hear the first verse, and I just say, play it. And they're like, they don't need to write it. I'm like, no, just play the song, give me the verse, and I feel off the verse, and I feel their energy from it, and boom, I just slam a very hooky chorus that'll match with the feelings of it. So that's kind of my game with that whole thing.
Well, that's a nice skill to have.
I worked with JJ. He's a Grammy-nominated producer for Welcome to California. He was really, really awesome to work with him on that album, because he inspired me to go different directions. And I'm mentioning him because I'm seeing it on my About section on Spotify.
I'm looking at it right now myself, too.
What a awesome producer, and he's an amazing DJ, Full House DJ up in San Francisco area. And he just kind of, I thought we were going to do like an electronic rock album, like the Flu. He showed up from New York, brought all his stuff out to do the album. And, when he came to my place in Hollywood, he was like, we're going to do an acoustic rock, raw record, like he won them. Like, really? Like, amazing. So we just did that. And he kind of really opened up a lot of things on me about going in a more positive direction. I ended up going with the album. And it was just, really, really, really cool thing. We had a different cool vibe with how we did things. It was different and neat. Not what I expected, not who I expected to work with. Yeah. And I just went with it, and ended up being something really awesome.
Chris Jaiden, you're hitting the nail on the head. I've talked to so many singers and musicians, and if you have to pull back, and if you have a great producer, somebody with a discerning ear that's impartial, you can come up with something great. You can give him little grains of sand, and he'll put together a sand castle for you. And that's, it sounds like that's the team that you've put together with, JJ lately, but even previous to that, you've been working together with others, and so
it was cool what you said about with JJ. It was kind of like he would bounce those ideas.
Yes.
And, I'd throw something at him, and, I had certain structures. It was really interesting, his process. I guess he'd worked with, like, Joss Stone and, like, I think it's David Gray, and doing some engineering stuff with them. And he was kind of doing things with acoustic music I didn't even know at the time. And, like, I thought he was more into the DJ scene of things. And then he was up for his Grammy. He was nominated for, I think it was 2002, for Best Remix, for a Jill Scott remix.
Excellent.
And so it was just he just had a good understanding of the formation of production. Like, he just his whole Apple even had him out talking at the Apple Store because he was so good at his organization, and his just skills are amazing in Pro Tools.
Well, Chris, Jaiden, you already know those accolades are what keep you going. They let you know where you stand with the public. Yes, you could like something and you could put it out into the world, and you hope. It's like you're birthing a baby, and you hope, hey, do you like this thing? Do you like this thing? Well, you at a young age, you're winning these contests, these singing contests, and those accolades kept you going. So what got you from Philadelphia? And you said you knew nobody in California, and you said, you know what? Let's go to California. What got you to that point? Was it after the band broke up, or what happened?
I was with a band called Soulburn in Philadelphia before I left. I forget the exact day. I guess I went back to 26, but I was there in NorCal for a couple of years, 2001 and 2.
Right.
And I just, my father, because he worked in the space program,
yes,
he was in the San Jose area, and he ended up said, come out, move out with me. And I got a chance to really start my music career in California that way. And then I ended up just taking to LA one day and said, Dad, I left my apartment and my reflective thing up there. I had hired a good team of players up there that I loved to play. Right. And then, they kind of went back into their bands, and I just had a feeling, and a movie opportunity thing came up and ended up not working out, but it got me here. And I just, took $800 and took my guitar, bunch of clothes, and, me and my ex, we just went down the train and came here and found one of those live-in little hostel things that were not really a hostel that they have here in the LA area.
Okay.
And I just lived in a garage there for a second. I had no money, really. Found a serving job, and I just handled it. I just kind of came down here, and I give that all to my father. God rest his soul. He passed away this past July.
Oh, God bless.
And God bless his soul. He gave me the opportunity to get out to California, because I wouldn't have had the opportunity without him, giving me a place to live at first, and getting myself together out here. So, Philadelphia, it's a great city.
Sure.
But, I haven't left this area, because LA, I just fell in love here. I came here, it was more my style of music all around me.
Right.
It's the weather. I'm horrible in the heat, so I sweat too much. I came here. I'm like, it's nice dry heat here. I love it, man.
Philly's great, but you can only go so far, and you're in the right spot to do rock music. Any kind of music, whatever music flows out of your head. You can do it right there in LA for sure. I mean, if you're a country, you might go to Nashville and indie, and so. You're like right in LA now.
Yes.
Okay. And when you first got there, you had no money. You said you found a serving job, but you did have your guitar. How did you start getting into the music business there? Because you left a band in Philly that was a working band, right?
Yeah. And we, just just differences between everybody.
Right.
It was kind of a short-lived band
Sure.
with a bunch of amazing death metal players.
Right.
They wanted a more hard rock project with somebody that could sing and scream.
Oh yeah.
So I was a person they found, and the Craig Smolowski, and it was like Alex Brooks. He's in Agoraphobia, Incantation. Again, they're actually back and rolling along. They were on Relapse Records back in the day.
Huh.
And then there was Craig Smolowski. He was in Immolation and Agoraphobia as well. And Alex is in Incantation right now as well. But those guys, Craig was he was tracked. I think he's the seventh fastest drummer on the planet.
Oh wow.
So, and we had to teach this guy Dan how to play rock music, and oh my God, it was hilarious because it was no rip on him, but he'll even laugh at this because he was laughing through it. He had to learn how to tone down. He hadn't played any regular rock music, so he had to tone down to our speeds. And it was, one of the funniest things ever because it was like this guy can just outplay anybody. I mean, if you watch him play, he's so fast everywhere. As soon as he did the rock drums, things would fall, that at first. And Alex would just look at him and everybody's, silly because we all rip on each other. And then he actually got in that flow with it, man. It was a good time. But, we just had our differences. We were, had our differences and things in our lives going on. And we just kind of decided to kind of cut ties with it. But, me and Alex we're still in touch and friends and everything. And it's, just kind of was time to move on. And when I came to NorCal, Reflective, my band kicked off from just me being a solo acoustic guy in bars up there. And I found my writing partner, my best friend, Jake Chaplin. And we just started kind of kicking off some songs together, we clicked.
And you say this is 2001 or so that you started doing this?
Well, 2001, too, when I came to California just for a short period.
Right.
I had a little thing called ASAP that there's not really anything up online with it. A couple little recordings here and there. But we're an acoustic kind of original act. I did that. People started liking what I was doing. And then I ended up going back to Philadelphia for a bit. And then I had to go back for a couple things for family. So it was kind of abrupt.
So when did Reflective and Surface start hitting big?
Well, Service again started kicking off again in 2001-ish, 2, when I came back, 2002, when I came back in 3. So we kind of started playing a little bit again.
Yeah.
And then I decided to come back out to California again. They kind of didn't want to follow suit. They were just kind of wanted to be here. Want to be, I'm still in Philadelphia. It's so funny. They wanted to stay in Philly.
Right.
And then I just, when I came out here again, I fell in love with it. And one of the other bands that was big in our area, Paintbox, they're amazing. The guitarist, Scott Galloway, he got stuck out here on a whiskey gig. So they understood. And he never came back. And then we ended up in the same effing band, Reflective. So random. And he ended up playing guitar for my Reflective act in LA. And he was in this band called Paintbox. And dude, they're amazing. I mean, it's like, there's not a band. I can't tell you, Dan, you get a second to listen to Paintbox. I mean, they're a band that just will blow your mind. The bass players playing, and it's like funk rock, man. And Scott Galloway, their first guitarist, is in all the main recordings. He joined onto my band, was selected for a big whiskey show in 2009. We opened up for Cold, and we ended up selling the show out with Cold. It was a reunion tour for them for their comeback. And God, I love that band, Cold. And we got asked to be put to open up for them, and it was just a good time, man. And we sold that whiskey show, and it was funny because he left Pennsylvania to be at the whiskey. His show there blew his mind, and the rest of the guys in Paintbox wanted to go home, and he ended up staying here. And then we ended up, how many years later, it's so long later, ended up meeting up here. And I asked him, hey man, can you jump on these songs to help me out? And he was like, yeah, because I had to plan a show in 4 weeks at the whiskey. And I don't know why I did it, Dan. I just took a huge risk, and I just did it, and I pulled it off. And those guys in 4 weeks just kind of learned all the songs, and just kind of kicked butt, and we just kept playing and all around LA for about 2 years doing that lineup, and stopped that around like 2012, and I started more on my solo, Assault from like end of 2011, 2012 on my own for that. and those guys had to do their separate things too, and it's all love, and we just kind of did separate things, had separate bands, and it was that time for that lineup. And me and Jake still are best friends, and he's in Seattle now. I'm here, so I can't be face to face, but we'll be doing some more songs in the future, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
just getting acclimated to his new spot up there, but it's a new world and a new way to make bands and write songs here. So it can be more a loner kind of game, even though it's not my favorite way to do things. I've become super accustomed to it, and really realize it eliminates a lot of problems too.
Chris Jaiden, this internet thing is amazing, where you could have people from all over the world, different parts of the world, that have not met each other and could still make music together. Where he can he can send you a drum beat, and somebody else can send you a bass line. You could put the guitar and lyrics together, and you could all mix them down over at JJ's place.
Yep, or then send them to me. I'll mix the vocals, and I have my buddy in Maryland now. I didn't even mention yet. Sean Bombs, I should mention him. He's probably one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. Him and Jake Chapman are very similar. They play and write everything. They could wipe me under the table, Dan. When it comes to doing all the I just couldn't believe the capacity of the technicalities and stuff that they knew how to, on the production side. I was kind of the guy they told just to carry the equipment and stay away from everything. Just get your microphone, get on stage. And I ended up being, a big analog engineer producer. I had stacks of things, massive paths of this, that, and I was not one to touch that. But these guys were like the gold in the other bands. And now me and Sean, years later, we have a new thing called Cloaking Skies. I haven't said it anywhere yet.
Yeah.
But it's this is the first time on your show. It's called Cloaking Skies. It's a technology used to cloak UFOs in the sky by the government.
What?
And they're all above us all times. And it's just a cloaking technology. You guys will all hear more about that.
Well, that's going back to your dad being in the space program. Come on, you're just carrying on the tradition there. That's
where the inspiration also came from, and it was like. And me and Sean had seen some things in our life too, in the sky and stuff. So it was perfect. And
UFOs?
We have 2 songs
You've seen some
fully
UFOs?
done, and we just, oh God, the goodness! I wish that I didn't have to be a part of seeing and being, because it's just like, why me? But I definitely had, at least 2 or 3 experiences, never in physical form, in holographic form. Came in the room one time, and I've seen, like a mothership kind of break the clouds open in the sky in Pennsylvania before, right before a huge thunderstorm. So when I mentioned my dad, doing that, it was like at a young age, I had seen this, triangle kind of formation ship coming over me and my father. When I was really young and been sailing. So it's been something that's kind of been, you'll hear it a lot in my songs. Like there's a song, Set It Off, on my EP that I released right before this album, Welcome to California. And that has to do with the alien technology and the stuff that I kind of, because of my father being in this program and things I'd seen already, they ended up in songs, and, kind of throw little pieces out. But it got more direct in my later songs.
Yeah,
and much more to be said about that.
Yeah, you've been open to it since a young age. Your dad's in the space program, so what choice do you have but to look up at the skies and kind of dream? I believe fully that if you're looking for that kind of a thing, you have more of a chance to find it. And you've been looking at the skies your whole life. That's part of you. Am I right?
Yeah, it's always been just kind of something that was always a part of me. And people kind of just gravitated towards me that had the similar kind of experiences, and it was just kind of weird. They were just all kind of like magnets. And, I never had any of those abduction things where it's physical. I've had a thing with a holographic green face. It's kind of like a gray come in and just me off my bed. I'm totally okay to talk about this. I mean, let's look at it this way. I'm already kind of a weirdo left-hander, and into music, and I was always kind of awkward and off anyway. So it was kind of like perfect for me. I've just never been afraid, Dan, to talk about things that happened to me or that were real and truthful. I'm like, you know what, F you, if you don't believe me, whatever. I'm like,
yeah, I don't even know why you would frame it that way, Mr. Mr. Jaiden. We would be so what is it? Stuck on ourselves to think that we're all alone. Come on now.
Yeah, I know. But it's cool how it's been more out in the open and able to be really discussed a lot now. It wasn't like that, some years ago, but it's in recent times it has been. But the Cloaking Skies project is there's 2 songs done right now, and we try to probably put out an EP before I put something out. I may put a single out before June 1st. That's kind of, some of the newer, and this is a heavier rock project. So I'm kind of getting back into my roots of the heavy stuff.
Chris Jaiden, Dan Aykroyd's one of my heroes, and I've heard him talk nonstop about UFOs, man. And him and his whole family have been into it since a young age. I mean, your dad being in the space program, I imagine he's seen some things, or at least he believes he's seen some things. Which is, if you want to play devil's advocate, hey, I believe that you believe that you've seen some things. You've seen some things. And they become a part of your psyche, man, and they become a part of your creativity. They blended themselves into your songs and your projects. So when you came out here, when you went to L.A., you were working on a movie. Was that you were trying to put music into a movie, or what kind of project was that? And I know you already said that it didn't pan out, but the process was probably pretty cool.
Well, it definitely was cool. I was just going to play like an acoustic kind of set and play some like 3 songs in between in a break. In the thing, it was a indie filmmaker, and he was a super, super nice guy. Came down here, but when I come down here, it was not exactly what I expected. And I met my girlfriend Laura when I first went down here after being here, and things really kosher for the law side of things, and it just wasn't being done in the correct way that was seen to be fit on the law side. So I just kind of had to pull out of it, and I just decided it was something better. I didn't do it, and then that's basically what it was. But it was the reason that I ended up getting down here. And I think the one girl that was in it with me. God, it was, I think, what year was it? I just got down here in like 2000, was it 8? Or I think it was 8, something like that. And Blanca Blanco, I didn't even, I didn't know who she was. This kind of indie person at the time, and she was the star girl in that indie film. And so it was, I guess she ended up in like a couple magazines like last couple of years ago or something like that. I forget the exact ones, but she's, all over Hollywood acting and stuff like that. And it just wasn't the thing for me to do at the time, but it got me down here.
All right. I'm looking up Blanca Blanco. Yeah. She's a cutie.
Yeah.
So you were running around with her then?
Oh, no. She just happened to be just the other actress at the time that was doing that particular film.
Very cool. Very cool, man. I never know where these are going to go, Chris Jaiden. You've had a life, man, and so you had that project that didn't go through. I mean, where did you go from there? And let's go through. You say independent film, I say independent music. When did Karmatic Jaiden Music start, and why was it named that?
It just got birthed over. I was with Universal last year. I got signed on for my single "No Worries," and they were gonna continue to put single after single out. God bless your soul, Leo Rogers. He had left the world a week before my release, and it was 7 days before we couldn't find him. Didn't know what happened because he never was in touch with us. And 60 years old, heart attack.
Wow.
So, a week before we couldn't release the song, and it was a huge mess. 2018 was a rough year for me. I had to pull the song out of all these different places, and thanks to the beautiful soul of Belinda Foster, who was a PR agent for Leo and like his sidekick. She was just, all love. And I couldn't figure out where he was. And I went to Twitter and I was like, Belinda. And to Laura, knew her well from working with her in some of Universal. And I give her a call and it was like heartbroken. So, because he was my friend first. And it was like, oh my goodness. And it was really, really hard. And after that happened, he owned a piece of the Universal's distribution. The Street Scholar Music Group is a label that was like the Slash Universal that he was doing with. And he owned the distribution side of things that a lot of Universal guys used in Europe that was better rates for them that he got me with. They're like Darius Rucker uses, Bonnie Raitt, stuff like that. It was like pulling teeth to get the songs out because they never got released because his release date never got announced because he wasn't alive to give the announcement for it, so it's stuck, as they say in a digital pull. It was pre-release for months, and it was like so. And we did get a single and when it finally did get out, I had to fight to get the song off of certain platforms in Europe and India. I mean, it was like they weren't abiding with the rules. So I had to pull all of this together on my own, just except for Belinda. Belinda went to the distribution girl's house, got her to pull the song right before the release so that I didn't get the song released. And then if I released it again, there would actually be an issue. So, and then, one had it just left up there and free. It was just not easy. But I pulled it off. I'm very diligent. I did not give up. I never give up. I just kept forcing forward. I put my head forward like a bull and I just run into things until, I use my Polish head and boom. And then I won at it. I got a piece and everything covered on my own. And the distro guys are super nice to me. Got it released legally, everything. And, February rolls around 2019. And I'm, like I said, I'm connected to a lot of things with both spiritual things and ghosts and sorts and like that. And I just hear Leo on my shoulder waking me up. I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, yeah, Chris, you got to get up and release this album. I said, what? He's like, I left something unfinished. And I'm like, am I really hearing this? Because I haven't had this kind of in touch with the ghost side of things, God, since my early 20s.
Yeah.
Thank God it's kind of stopped. And it was like, it would really torture me at night. And then it comes back to me like this in a positive way. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay. So I literally just listened to it again. This is no joke. Got up and he happened again the next day. And I went, I just better get up and start this. So I just kind of figured out how to do everything myself. I had no knowledge of this. So I decided to start the distribution. I figured out that, the best distribution to use. And then I had to figure out how to promote, how to put, all the funds that I make into the promotion. I had to really fuel everything. And I didn't know what was going to work. Dan, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really did. But I just thought, Spotify was the hottest thing. And I found a great guy in Germany who's now a really close friend of mine. And he was my secret. And we found organic, real playlists around the world in every country that are disguised, not doing that fake type of playlist things or fake plays. This is tracked by Spotify directly. He worked directly with Spotify. And, the playlists that I was being placed on were some serious playlists. And he, really helped me kick off that side of it. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because the PR girl that helped me get all the stuff out of all the portals so I could then release it on my own under Chromatic Jaiden Music, basically had to, she didn't understand. And I guess Universal was coming back, a couple of the smaller labels that she worked with as well, started asking how I was doing what I was doing. And, I let them know, but I'm like, that was my secret. They're wondering how's he getting so many the plays right? And I was landing it in the right places and just promoting it. I just kind of figured it out. And she, was a PR person and didn't help me, and she was really impressed how I was doing that. And, I kind of filled her in, and her just kind of decided to start a little side thing where we bring artists upon. And from what I learned of the whole business of doing the playlist game, and we're just kind of kicking that off now. But that is kind of what got me going with the Carmatic Jaiden music thing. I got the label going. I just kind of learned it on my own. Just had to learn it, and it just became successful. The album's at almost 450,000 streams right now since August 23rd, and I'm at just about, I think I'm about to break 260 grand almost with a single No Worries. So it just, kind of kicked off because they were organic, the right, real playlists. People started picking them up. They started dropping them on their own playlist. All of a sudden, I end up on, it was like 23,000 saved tracks. It was like almost 11,300 something saved tracks of No Worries just on that single alone. So it was getting spread all over the world. And all these people in different shops are hearing it because people use it for shop music. Some of the playlists I was on were in some really good shops. Yeah. So people were Shazamming the music. So that's kind of the game that worked for me. And it worked really well. And it really helped me build the confidence to do everything on my own because I wanted to be just the artist. I wanted everybody else to do their part, and I do my part. And that, the big dream, you get signed on, you get dragged along, you get put in the limo, and they take care of this, you take care of that. And of course, then they take all your money out from under you.
Right.
while you're not looking. So it was like, I saw the guy I worked with, Leo, he didn't do that to me, and his percentage I wanted to get to him because I loved him. And, but, other deals, you never know who's pulling your money here or pulling your money there. You can't see your statistics, nothing. I realized I got addicted to the fact I could see all my statistics. I could do all this on my own. And I realized, wow, I couldn't believe it. I had to go to societies like Sound Exchange, this, that. It was not easy at all. I had to figure out things I just never thought I'd have to figure out, but I did it. And I covered crossed every T, dotted every I. And, I got it going. So, yeah, and then Carmatic Jaiden music came from my last name Jaiden, and Carmatic Equation is a really heartfelt song I love from Reflective. And Carmatic Equation is kind of a playoff of mathematic, or mathematical equation. I didn't like Carmatical, so I just made it I made my own word up, Carmatic Equation. And that played off of that. The way that things happened, I just kind of thought, I guess maybe my karma's good. Maybe this is why this is all somehow working out anyway. And so that just became Carmatic Jaiden music.
Chris Jaiden, you're giving the people gems. You broke away. Are you completely separate from Universal now?
Yes. So I do everything indie, and it's all 100% me. And I learned how to divide it correctly and make it. I did every little detail that a major label would have done. Just as being an indie, just a very little indie.
No, but all the music belongs to you. All the creativity, all the ups and all the downs belong to you, Chris Jaiden.
Yes.
And I'm looking at your Spotify. There's 20,111 monthly listeners. You're doing something right.
Thank you, man.
There's people listening to your songs, and hopefully, Spotify is showing you a couple checks there. Hopefully you're getting a couple bucks off of this. And man,
the best thing is I'm getting hitting to Discover Weekly.
Yes.
On occasion, I get into there. I get on these little different release radar things. So it's been my single from The Flu. It's called Unity.
Yes.
I produced. I did everything on that track. I mean, all the weird, crazy analog synths and the pedals I use on it. It's a sound you can never really recreate. And my drum machines and stuff. And I didn't know that song would be received as well as it was. I really didn't. It was not everybody's, that's what I thought, favorite song. I was like, oh, it's a great song. I wasn't sure it was going to be, taken the way I wanted it to be taken, but it was about unity, about the world, and people started taking it on, and it got on Discover Weekly, and it ended up with 22,000 plays just from that playlist alone. And I had only done a small little promotion on a couple smaller playlist, but people started saving it, and then it got picked up by Spotify, and taken on its own that way, and that's like almost at 100,000, it's like 94,000 or something now. So it's that's what I'm saying. Spotify's so well received. Of all the platforms and all the things I could pick, I said, man, what's my favorite? What do I like to listen to?
Yeah.
What makes me have the ease of play and finding artists and links to this and that? And nothing touched Spotify to me. So I just kind of rolled with that.
No, they're definitely breaking away. I mean, the SoundCloud used to be the SoundCloud hip rapper, I guess was the terminology. But it looks like Spotify is at least giving back to the artist what they're supposed to be doing. And that's and you retain all the creative rights to it, and that's fantastic. That's giving me hope, and I'm hoping it's giving some of my listeners hope that are trying to put their stuff out there. And it's letting them know that they don't need a big distributor; they can put it out there on their own and see if anybody likes it.
You guys do not need that. Anybody out there listening, you don't need it. I thought exactly what you might be thinking if you're thinking that, and. It was really rough going from, you just got onto the, bigger ones, and then boom, you're back down to a different point where you started. And then when you realize that it was actually a gift that happened, and I picked up, and I'm like, wow, now that I did this on myself, I couldn't really imagine a better possibility of anything else happening. And so if you're out there putting your own music out there, people, just go for it, because it's really all the energy you're putting into it, and how you're promoting it and where you're putting it. If you believe in it, just put it out there. And like I said, Spotify is a great platform. There's great companies out there that do promotion for that kind of stuff. And Playlist Promotion is the best company that I've ever heard of. Andy is amazing. Hit Andy up at it's playlist-promotion.com, I believe. If not, just search for Playlist Promotion. And that's a good little tip for you guys to get a good kickoff. If he likes you, he'll accept the music. He won't work with it if he can't work. If he doesn't like it and can't put it in the right places, he won't. So just give it a shot and see what he thinks, and that can give you a nice little boost right there. And just got to keep doing it, and just keep dragging your feet through the mud until you get above that, and you're on the water surfing.
Chris Jaiden, thank you so much for that tip right there.
Yeah,
I think that is what we needed out here. So, what are you doing these days? What is the current project right now that you're working on? I know you just put this album out. And the new single that's out there, the Welcome to California, it almost made it to the Grammys. Hey, it's nice to be recognized. So is that what you're doing? Are you out there touring with this? Are you playing this for the people?
Not doing the tour stuff yet, but I also forgot to mention, just because it hasn't been mentioned, I ended up making Billboard magazine.
Yes.
And out of all the rest were like major artists and major labels, and I was only indie or something. And from the PR company that I was with, and they ended up putting me right next to the charts. So I also got that. That was another cool thing to be shocked by last year. Both the Grammy preview issues last year. It's on like page 221 or 222.
Oh,
and then
cool.
Now, the music that I'm working on now is basically, I have like a boatload of acoustic solo songs that I just haven't gotten a chance to lay down yet.
Yeah. I imagine your songbook has got to be huge.
It is, and I'm going to be, laying out these acoustic albums. Kind of starting, may just go single at a time, but since I do it all myself, it took a long time to really take a little break, because I wanted to really build my studio to the way I really wanted it. I wanted my signal chain to be exactly what I wanted. I said, why rush? I'm promoting this other album. Let's finish it up last year. Finally did that, and now I'm going to be getting in and getting busy and getting some new acoustic tracks, solo stuff laid down. I'm going to be doing really hard on my vocals for Cloaking Skies with Sean Baums from the band The 1-2s out of Philly. And that's basically the plan for the moment.
And you're doing this all at your home studio?
Absolutely. Laughing Dove Studios.
Fan bloody fantastic. Chris Jaiden doing it all by himself, man. It's nice to work with people. It's nice to have a band that you could go out and tour and play music for the people. But it's nice that, man, you have the talent that you could do it all on your own. You could play yourself. You could play the drums. You could play the bass. You could play the guitar. And the piano enough to make yourself a little demo track or even a fully produced track. Am I right there? Or I mean, 'cause
yes.
I know that the cat.
Mixing and mastering,
Who was that cat? What was it? The one who did the? Oh my goodness! I'm totally firing on who he put out this. He sent this demo to this record company, and they said, "Oh, we're going to put it out just like that." But his band wasn't even on it. He put all the tracks together himself. I can't remember who it was. The one who. Well, it'll probably come to me after I'm done with the
who
podcast.
did do that, for instance, is like Dave Grohl from the first Foo Fighters album.
Yes.
But what you said right there is exactly what he did. He put that whole thing, it was all him. I mean, he's like, I'll just play everything. You're like, that's Dave Grohl. I remember saying that when I first heard it. It's my favorite Foo Fighters. And just to hear how he started off like that. And then the band formed kind of like I did with Reflective. But then, in the future here, like you said, the touring thing, I'm going to be forming, and I'm not really the whole big tour thing as much, but like I'm going to be doing some California shows.
Yeah.
In the near future, hopefully this coming year. Really careful about who I pick when I play.
Right.
And when I pick a band these days, because of past experiences. So I'm not rushing it. I'm letting people kind of gravitate towards me. I've learned that kind of running and finding them is not the way. So I have a guitarist, Balaj. He's amazing. He's always playing with me, even on my solo stuff. The other players will kind of form around when I decide how to go about what I want to nail when I go out and play. Because, it's kind of like when Chris Cornell goes and plays, he was playing. I'm such a big fan when he was here. God bless his soul, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he, his solo show that I've seen, he play everything for all different bands everywhere. And it's cool when I do go out and do a band. I like to incorporate all, my songs from the acoustic stuff, from, all my Surface, from Reflective. I like to mix in all different styles. So eventually put a group here together, and especially probably do something like here at the Canyon Club here in Gore Hills and stuff like that. And just get more into setting up, a big show type of thing, and then, getting one big thing going, kind of like that. It'll be fun.
Well, Chris Jaiden, you're in the right town to find a few hired guns where you could find a good drummer, a good bassist, a good guitarist, and just go. At least play for a few people locally. You don't have to go tour all over the world because, I'm
sure that'll come. But I'm going to go one step at a time and go,
yeah.
Let's find the right band first.
Right.
And you really get that locked in. I don't want, because a lot of times I get stuck with forming bands, and then they don't want to write, or they just can't really write, or they can't flow on a jam kind of feel where it's just, can you write in your head now? So it's kind of like it just disappointing sometimes. So I want to really wait, and if I guess that doesn't come, I'll just kind of just see what happens with other things. But it's I really just want to get that same dynamic I had with Surface.
Yeah.
Which is, something that I just would totally miss.
Well, it's going to be hard to do, I think. Once you get to a certain age, you want to settle down, you want to get a family together, and being a touring band is hard on families, let me tell you. And you know this.
Yep, I'll get a good solo band together here soon. Oh
yeah, but until then, you'll be playing your guitar around town solo.
Yep, just me and the acoustic, me and the Breed Love and Balaj.
Yeah, Breed Love Guitars, man. That's fantastic. Breed Love Guitars is sponsoring you now, or you're part of their team. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I literally today just got the profile done. I got the email from them, and they literally just sent me the profile. So if you go to breedlovemusic.com and look under artists, and under Breed Love artists, when you click on the link, it'll say Signature Breed Love. I am the top left out of 11 pages of their Breed Love artists, I think it is. Yeah. I'm the top first left corner on the first page.
That's fantastic to be recognized.
I'm very honored they did that. Yeah.
Yes.
Very humbling to put me there. So I just got that up and rolling. with that aspect. Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely use the picture of you holding that Breed Love and working that thing as the cover for this podcast, and we'll get that out there, man. Just
rock.
Well, I mean, tell the people how to get a hold of you, and as we're winding this down, let the people know how to get a hold of Chris Jaiden.
You just can go to www.chrisjaiden.com. It's Jaiden, in case anybody gets confused. You can find me on Instagram. It's at chris.jaiden, and then you have Facebook, facebook.com/chrisjaidenmusic, and I have youtube.com/chrisjaiden. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. And so, yeah, I'm all over the place. Spotify is the best place to go listen to the whole collection of my music. Probably the spot I'd lead you to first for anything, because, like I said, the About section will lead you to basically a little background of all my projects along the way, leading up to my solo work.
For sure,
yeah.
Chris Jaiden. I'll definitely put all that in the show notes. As we wrap this up, you get the last words for the people. Tell them a few words. Close this thing out.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of continue, ticking along and writing songs and just doing it because I love it, and just going out there and, doing my acoustic show. I just love doing it. Weekly I go out and do something all the time. And the Sugar Mill Saloon, the Maui Sugar Mill Saloon. I love this place. My new little spot in Tarzana. It's a Dave Grohl spot that he'll just pop up sometimes. The Foo Fighters will play as a different name band. That's usually the most ridiculous effing name that you can think of. Just anything you can think of that's nuts. And you don't know it's them. And Dave Grohl's face is up on the wall. On like a painting and stuff. It's pretty cool. And it's like reminding me of my old Philadelphia bars back in Philly that I love. It's got a real good home feeling. So I do that now weekly on Tuesdays, and you can always find me there on Tuesdays and stuff. And there'll be more shows that are going to be starting to get booked in the future. I'm at Heritage Fine Wines in Beverly Hills, and that's a regular spot. I do every 2 weeks a month with Billy Kent and Balaj. That's their thing there. And Balaj has me come up, and I'm one of the artists that gets invited to do music with them. And so that's a very cool spot. Most down-to-earth people there at Heritage Fine Wines. I love them so much. And I'm really, really grateful they let me come in and play my music there. They're really, really big, supportive place for live artists and indie artists in LA in general. Have a lot of respect for Johan, and that place is just an amazing spot. And so I'll do that on the 21st coming up. So, as there's no official shows booked at the moment, it's basically I do shows anyway, doing these things that are on Tuesdays at Sugar Mill, the open mic thing, signed up doing, 2 to 3 songs there. Sometimes I'll jump up and do extra songs, or they'll ask me to do more. It's same with Heritage. I mean, it can be anything from 3 songs to 5 songs. So it's just a cool place also to go to. So, yeah.
Well, there you have it, party people. Chris Jaiden, Philly's own Chris Jaiden, born in Philadelphia. Wait, should I even... Philadelphia, born and raised? I know, I tried to do that a little bit earlier. I know he got it. He's been catching it probably his whole life. And now he's in California, the place you ought to be to make music. And if you haven't listened to Chris Jaiden music, why haven't you? He's on Spotify. Find him everywhere. Check out the show notes, and you'll have all the links to Chris Jaiden's music on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. I'll even include his Twitter feed and his Instagram, so you can find you some Chris Jaiden. He's got, and it's all different kinds of music, but it's happy music, man. And like I said, he had this gravelly voice that he can make it really rock out, or he's got this really nice smooth voice, great for jazz, great for like little peppy beach music. That's what I kind of feel like, it's really peppy, happy beach music that you're just chilling, and you don't even have to be on the beach. You could be out in the woods, just chilling with your friends, on the front porch, having yourself a little sweet tea. That's what they like to do here in the South, in Arkansas. Have a little sweet tea on the front porch, listening to your Chris Jaiden. Thank you so much, Chris Jaiden, for being on the program, What Makes You Famous. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Be on Radio What. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com.
If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening.
Radio What? The music you want. With some words to live by. The best is yet to come. A public service message from RadioWhat.com. The music you want.